This shoot took place at an old house in the Hunter Valley, just west of Newcastle. We wanted to get a grungy fashion sort of a look from the shots. Racquel was our model for the day, and we wanted to use a combination of flash and available light in the shots. Here we're using the softbox with the flash just to supplement that daylight on Racquel's face. We moved to another room where we had this old couch. One problem we had here initially was that there was a bit of sunlight on Racquel's feet, and I didn't want to have it that way because the flash would superimpose on any daylight that was there, so we had to move Racquel's feet back out of that sunlight so that our flash would light her fully. And I needed to balance the flash with the daylight outside. Then we used this doorway with this great surround. I initially took a couple of shots just with the softbox, but then we put a speed light in the room behind Racquel to light the room, just so that it lit up and accentuated her hair and gave the shot a little bit more interest. Then we moved outdoors, again using the softbox with the large flash, turning Racquel's face into the wind so that her hair would blow back away from her face, and judging that exposure so that we had nice detail in the sky and the landscape behind her, as well as the light on her face from the flash. So getting that balance right is the key to using off-camera flash. These are a couple of extra shots that we took around about that time. There are some great windows in this old house that I wanted to use, so we placed Racquel in the window and I took some shots from outdoors, framing the window frame and Racquel's face. Initially, again, the shots were okay, but we needed a little bit of punch from the back, so I had Corey in the room behind Racquel with the speed light, synchronized to the camera so that we got that flash on the back of her hair and lit up the room a bit, just to give the shots a little bit more punch. It also accentuated the great colour of Racquel's hair. Then we moved to the entranceway at the front of the house. This was a fairly dark area, so I had to be careful to expose the background, which was sunlit, so that I wouldn't take attention away from Racquel as our main subject. So the flashlight with the softbox is lighting Racquel, but I need to balance my camera exposure to get that background looking the way that I want it. Then we moved back inside. I wanted to get a shot of Racquel in this arched window or arched doorway. So we had Corey stand off to the side with the softbox and had Racquel turn her face slightly towards that softbox to get nice light on her face. And I framed the shot with the doorway in there. Now, for this next shot, the idea was to light Racquel along that wall so that we got the texture of the paint coming through. If we light something along the wall, then we get the texture in the wall showing up so much better. The video camera wasn't great at capturing this really dark light, but you can see this shot with available light, this shot with flash. It makes a really big difference to have that directional light coming down and that small light source to show the texture in that surface. Again, we needed to turn Racquel's face towards the flash so that we got that nice light on the front of her face. So these initial shots, I had her facing me, and then we turned her face towards the flash to get that nicer light on her face. Now I wanted to light Racquel through one of these doorways. So we had Corey with the softbox in one of the rooms, and Racquel was outside that room, just in front of the front door of the house. And I was going to shoot her through a third doorway, so that we're using 3 doorways in this shot. Now, the light coming from the doorway lighting Racquel was a little bit too radical. It was a little bit too far from the side. So I eventually got Corey to come inside that room and light against the wall opposite Racquel to make that light a little bit softer on her face. This place was an ideal situation. I had to clean up a little bit with my broom, but I loved that brickwork in behind that little nook. So we placed Racquel down there, and again we lit her with the softbox off to the side to get that lovely light. We needed to position the softbox so that it lit Racquel's face, and we got that great light in that little nook. Here again, Corey's over to the right-hand side of camera, lighting Racquel, who's looking out through the window. The daylight here is sufficient to expose the shot correctly with natural light, but the off-camera flash just gives it that little extra punch. On the stairs here, outdoors, again I needed to be careful with my camera exposure to expose the environment, and then the flash was lighting Racquel. So we had the flash on camera right, where Corey's holding it, up above Racquel because you want that light to come down on her, and I framed the shot and composed it so that she was the major part of the image and the background just worked in around her. Few extra shots that we took. Now we're in another building, a large warehouse type of building with plenty of light around, but I wanted to frame Racquel in this doorway. We used the off-camera flash because if I just shot her with natural light, she would be very dark against that background. So we used the off-camera flash to light her, turning her face towards it, and we balanced that light with the outdoor light. Here we just took advantage of some of this available sunlight coming through these windows. It looked really spectacular, so I wanted to just use that available light without flash to get the shot, the graphic sort of style of shot that presented itself. Outside again, I was outside shooting Racquel looking through these magnificent windows, so I needed to expose her for that window frame using just available light initially, and then we had Corey light her from the back just to give us that backlight on her hair. I love shooting from these low angles because it gives your subject such a commanding sort of a look, and it gives your background a spectacular look as well. I love big skies in photographs, but separating Racquel from that background is a big part of using this off-camera flash. Having the flash coming in at an angle shows the shapes and the textures, and the way the light falls across your model just looks so much different to using flash on camera or available light. Couple of final shots here, just Racquel in that doorway. And then we managed to get Racquel up onto this high brickwork, again, so I could shoot up at her and give her a very commanding sort of a feel to the image. Corey had to get that light up as high as he possibly could because I didn't want too much uplight on her face. So to get that light up as high as possible was a really big advantage. Sometimes it's good to have a tall assistant. So we had a fun day shooting up there. We got some magnificent images and got some great shots for Racquel and for ourselves.